You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. Hey, yo, what up? It's your boy, Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders Podcast. You know what it is? We're talking comic books today. Awesome comic books, indie comic books. We have an amazing writer and illustrator, the creator of Cammondor Rao. Has an amazing, heartbreaking story out called And We Love You. The one, the only, the very amazing Fell Hound. Wepa, how you doing?
Hi, I am great. Thank you so much for the amazing introduction, and I'm so happy to be on the show.
No, well, thank you for coming on. I'll talk about this dope book from the world of Cammondor Rao, And We Love You. Wow, just wow. I've had the honor of reading it and heartbreaking, emotional. What a ride do you put us through? Thank you. I can't wait for all these people to have this in their hands.
Thank you. So if people do pick it up, remember to have a box of tissues nearby.
Yes, absolutely. I'm telling you, it's nice. Well done. But you guess what? We're gonna show some preview pages and all that goodness in a little bit. But we're gonna roll it back a tad, if you will, and let's find out a bit about yourself. Right, where you OG from?
Yeah, so I'm from Toronto, Canada, the Great White North, and pretty much I have started my comics journey when I was in college. I fell in love with the medium and I decided to try my hand at it. And yeah, just been here since, trying to make comics, trying to meet people.
Did you have any early love in fandom as a kid? Was there something in particular you fell in love with? Or was it really a late, or you were a late bloomer for real?
I mean, I loved a lot of things when I was a kid. I was in a lot of fandoms. I grew up with like Pokemon and Digimon and Sailor Moon. As you can see from the giant Batwoman poster in my background, I am a big Batwoman fan. I think that was one of like the earliest comics I've ever read. Yeah, and that was the comic that got me into the comics fandom, as you can say. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
How did you discover the comics fandom? How did you discover this? Was it a friend? Did you just happen to go to a convention one day?
It's actually a bit of a long and funny story. So, I used to love the show Gargoyles, like Disney Gargoyles.
Oh yes.
And yeah, like I watched like the entire thing. I was so in love with it, and then I found out they continued the story in the comic books. So I wasn't really into comics back then, but I really loved Gargoyles. So I scouted like every single comic book shop trying to find these Gargoyles comics. This was like in 2011 or 2012. But yeah, as I was just going to these comic book shops, I see some really cool stuff around. And then I think I saw like Batwoman on one of the shops. I went home, I looked it up. It looked really cool. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna check out Batwoman. Fell in love with it. And pretty much just picked up everything else she was in, picked up DC, picked up Marvel, and that's kind of how I got started.
Oh, nice. And were you alone in your journey, or did you have a tribe in your journey of discovery here?
Mostly alone. I didn't have a lot of other friends who liked comic books. I think I had one other friend, and like we really bonded after high school once I got into comic books. But it was really just me and him talking all the time. There wasn't really a lot of other people around who loved as much as I did, I guess.
I understand that wore their geek culture proudly on their sleeve, unlike others that want to hide it. And yes, Brett, Gargoyles is amazing. I actually have Goliath and Bronx, the action figures.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And the Bronx, the reason I bought Bronx is because he comes with the fold-up wing. No, I think the expandable fold-up wings for Goliath. So it's changeable wings. It's really cool.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, you got to get the whole set, the whole deal.
Yes, I'm a sicko. All right, so talk about being creative then. Were you always creative, or was it really because, on your path in comic book fandom, you found a creative spark?
So I've always liked storytelling. I wrote a lot when I was a kid and in through high school, I did a lot of short stories and poetry in high school. I never really got into, I guess, like drawing and comic books until after high school when I discovered that love of comic books. And even then, I wasn't really much of an artist when I first got into comic books. That was a whole separate journey that spanned the entirety of my college career, just trying to, draw and learn to draw, look up lots of YouTube tutorials and pick up books. And eventually just, I guess, got my skills up to the point that I felt like I could make my own.
Well, check that out. So when you finally dipped in to do your own, what was that learning curve like? Because now here you go from being a fan to being a creator.
Yeah, so I felt like I was always a little bit cautious. Like I didn't go right away into making comic books. I made a lot of like fan art. So like dipping my toes back in that fandom, trying to find that audience. And then eventually I think like I made some friends online and they saw some of my original drawings and they were like, "Oh, this could be a really cool story." And I was like, "Well, I guess it could." So I tried to convert those drawings, like just those loose drawings, into a bit of like a story comic book format. That was called "Do You Believe in an Afterlife?" And it was a mix of comic books and prose. And that was, people seemed to enjoy it. So I thought, maybe I could really make a full comic. And then my comic after that was Cammondor Rao, which I guess was a kind of like a practice comic for me, trying to learn how to like market a book, how to draw a book, how to, print a book, because it was on Kickstarter and all that. I think that book really helped shape and give me trajectory in the comic books community and everything.
You see, folks, I was slowly segueing into the new book. All right. So who's Commander Rao? When did that even concept build in your head?
Yeah, so Cammondor Rao. It's a sci-fi action one-shot that I made back in 2020. It was self-published and put on Kickstarter. It was very much inspired. So I really loved a lot of anime and manga. There's this manga called The Rose of Versailles, which is about French Revolution. It was one of like the staples of the shoujo manga era in like the 70s. So it's really old, but it's really good. And I really liked it, and I really wanted to make
Hey, hey,
something.
hey! Just because it's old doesn't mean it's bad, okay? Hey.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic manga and an anime. Everyone should go read and watch it. But I think I fell in love with that book, and I fell in love with the aesthetic, and I really wanted to pull some themes out of that book into my own thing. I really like sci-fi, so I was like, what if we had like, like a cool, like the main character of that book was Lady Oscar, who's like this cool commander lady, and I was like, I want to make my own cool commander lady. So that's kind of how Cammondor Rao began.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So when you did that first project, did you do it completely by yourself, or did you, build a team? Like, so you have a letterer and editor, or was this completely a solo project?
So I wrote and drew it, but the letterer and the logo designer was Letter Squids, who did like a fantastic job doing all the letters on that book. But I didn't have an editor, which in retrospect I really should have. Luckily, I had a lot of friends who was trying to proofread things and trying to give feedback on some things. So those were all my, I guess, unofficial impromptu editors.
There we go. Salute to the tribe. There we go. See, you do have a
Yes.
tribe. So, all right. So, how was the journey of that first project, though? I mean, was it successful on that first try?
I mean, given that it led up to where we are now, I think Cammondor Rao was probably my most successful project. It was,
Awesome.
to be honest, a bit of luck as well, a lot of luck probably, but I'm grateful that people enjoyed it and it helped me, get me where to I am now.
There we go. So, yeah, talking about the now. Look, as I promised, folks. I mean, these colors are so dope, too. This is scenery here. And then,
Thank you.
when you read the book and you realize, what they were saying with the cover alone, oh my God. Woof. What a great. So talk about these covers for a start. Yeah. I mean, look at this from Scout Comics. Salute to Scout Comics. I mean, they got a fire line of books, but look at this cover.
It is amazing. It's drawn by my friend Angela Wu, and she just popped off. Like honestly, when she showed me this cover, my jaw was on the floor. It's so beautiful, and I think it captures the emotions of the book really well.
How did you meet Angela? Or was this a connect through Scout?
So Angela and I met because of another anthology that we both did prints for. It was called Sagas of the Shield Maiden by Asa Wheatley. And we both did like prints for it, and we were both fans of each other's prints. So then I think she messaged me being like, "I love your print," and I was like, "I love your print too." And then
nice.
that's kind of how we knew each other. And honestly, I fell in love with her art seeing that print she did for that other book. So I was like, "Man, I got to get her for this one."
I mean, there it looks with nothing on it. That nice raw cover. Look at that, gorgeous,
So
gorgeous.
good, so good.
And there's the other one over here. You get your choices here, folks. Wonderful choices. I mean, wow.
Yeah. So this one is by Skylar Patridge, who is probably like the #1 artist in drawing any kind of emotional anything. She is fantastic. Like the inks, the emotions, everything just
Yes,
pops. And I
colors,
was,
everything.
yeah,
Okay.
I was so grateful to have her on this cover. Like it's stunning.
There goes, folks, again, just raw so you could appreciate that beautiful artwork. My gosh. And lastly, woof.
Yeah, so this one is my cover. This is the Scout
Hey,
web
look at
store
that.
exclusive cover that I made.
Oh,
And, I
nice.
think it goes with the theme. It's a little bit tragic, lots of blood.
This is gorgeous. Yeah, tragic indeed. This story is insane. I mean, there it goes
Mhm.
again, raw folk. Woof! This is poster material right here, girl. Tell you.
Oh, thank you. I hope people will also like it. I hope the audience likes it.
And there we go. So start talking about the world that we're going to be diving into here in the story. I mean, what's going on here? What's pop? Look at this. Reminds me of being in the world of Terminator right now. I'm scared.
So yeah, Anti-Levia takes place in like a sci-fi
Agreed.
dystopian future. Yeah, it's a war-ridden future. There's an evil baron about trying to take over everything, and we have our young soldiers. Our main character Julie, who is unfortunately caught in the crossroads of this awful battle, and she sadly does not have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really a story about her life, her time in the war, and as you're about to see, the tragedy that is about to unfold in her life.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just saw that movie that just came out that has to do with World War One.
Oh, which
And
one?
yeah, it just came out. Oh my gosh, it's a German film.
Oh, All Quiet on the
Really
Western
good.
Front.
Yeah, yo. It kind of made me think about this because it was an emotional journey, about this one
Hmm.
soldier and their story. So many similarities within that and this. So you're gonna get many awards for this. I mean,
Thank you.
you've been nominated and stuff. I mean, come on now. I mean, easy for you,
No, I just
right?
need the
Wow.
win.
And look at this. Look at how you enjoy these action scenes. I mean, where do you come from with these scenes? Jeez.
Yeah, I really love action. I love drawing dynamic things, and I think Lucas, who did the lettering here, did an amazing job with the lettering. Like the rat-a-tat-a-tats, so good.
This big whip, Mr. Chris Perez was popping, brother.
Hey.
That's gonna be another customer right there. Put your money aside, fellas. You need this book in your life. I mean, oof! Look at this.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Speaking of that tragedy that's about to unfold, so yeah, this is the story of Julie and how she unfortunately perishes on this battlefield and begins to bleed out her life story.
How did you even come up with the design for this? Because it's fire. I mean, you see what's going on, and that splatter is just telling the journey. It's just wonderful. How the heck did you come up with this?
I actually came up with this idea like almost 10 years ago. Like, I wanted to make a comic that looked like this about someone who bled memories. So I actually drew it 10 years ago. My art was not good back then, so it looked really bad. But I think it was one of those things where I kept at it. Like, I kept redrawing it until I finally, landed where we are now. I got my art to a point where I felt like I could do it, and I already kind of knew what would work and what wouldn't work from all those failed attempts in the past. So this was kind of a mix of like, using my current skills and knowing what went wrong in the past, and also having a great editor and Frankie White telling me if it looked weird.
Ooh, Frankie White. Yeah. No name. Awesome.
Yeah.
Check that out. Oof. And I love your usage here. Again, the blood is incredible. Like Brett said, agree. The blood is so good. Incredible. And then there's that divide here between that black and white, that gray tone, and then the color usage. Wonderful. My gosh.
Thank you. Yeah, I really want to make the memories pop and seem like colorful memories, so you really get that like stark contrast between, what her life was like versus what the war is like.
Yeah, and I'm digging the concept there too. Again, using, before it was the spray splatter with the memories. Now here you have the pools of memories.
Hmm.
Like the pun right there. Digging it, digging it.
Yes.
And there we go. I mean, so who are these baddies coming? They look effed up, man. Look at this.
Yeah, so these are, this is the Baron's army. They are the the ones below are the grave diggers and the body cleaners, because obviously there's a lot of bodies around, and unfortunately they're all about to go into a giant pit to be forgotten.
That would
And
be a horrible job to have in the service. My gosh.
yeah.
Oh, and once again, I mean, look at these scenes. What's your favorite sci-fi movie? I'm telling you, because you were definitely pulling some great sci-fi stuff here, because just the angles too.
Oh man, I love a lot of sci-fi movies. I mean, I am a fan of Star Wars. I'm a fan of Gundam.
Oh, I love
Lots
Gundam.
of other stuff that I'm probably blanking on right now, but
This is so fire. I mean, look at this. And then look, folks, you can follow right there. That's what you follow. On Twitter, it's Fellhound underscore. All right. Instagram, Fell.Hound. You got to visit the website that I've been showing you. So, what's popping with the story? I mean, is it out? Or is it coming out? Is the project? What's going on?
yeah. So originally it was supposed to be coming out February 1st, but it got a little delayed. However, I just checked the preview site this morning, and it is confirmed that it should be in stores next week on March
Next
1st.
week. March
Yeah.
1st,
So
folks, you heard this. You better add this to your pull from Scout Comics. Go to your local comic book store, like right now, give them a call. I mean, I know a lot of you got one of these, so just call them up and say, yo, I want. Go ahead, what's the title again?
and we love you.
Yeah, here we go. We gotta do this promo. We gotta be, come on, gotta sell this baby because this is an
All right.
amazing book. Folks, let me tell you, it is again. If you love stories, again, war stories and things like I told you on the Western Front, she said like, yo, it's real dope. It's a wonderful story that flows really well. And I know I say this a lot, but it's really true. You have this very cinematic style to you. The eye just flows nicely across the pages with the wonderful coloring. You've built a heck of a team here. Amazing.
Thank you so
So,
much. Thank
so
you.
is this story just a one shot, or we're getting continued stories? What's popping here?
Yeah, so this one is a one shot. It's a 64-page one shot. You don't even have to have read Cammondor Rao in order to enjoy the story. The story is technically like a standalone prequel to Cammondor Rao. I do recommend picking up both of them so you can get the full, complete story. But
Get it
even
all,
if you
get it
have
all.
not, yeah, even if you have not, you can read, either Cammondor Rao alone or And We Love You alone. I am hoping that you will like And We Love You enough that you'll go back and pick up Cammondor Rao. Both really cool stories. But yeah, if you like, war stories, if you like emotional stories, if you like to have a good cry, this is the book for you.
Or good thoughts. I mean, yeah, a nice little, emotional thought process is really good as well. For those that don't want to admit that they cry, it'll definitely put you in a moment of thought. Like, damn, it's deep. It's deep. I dig it. I mean, if
Yes.
you listen, if you don't have a heart, then this ain't for you, yo. All right. Or this will find your heart. You're like, oh my god,
Yeah,
it's really
I
good.
hope so.
So, talk to me. Where you gonna be at? Are you gonna be making any appearances where we could get these bad boys signed by you exclusively?
So right now, I sadly I don't have any signings planned right now.
Okay.
It was a little hard to coordinate because I know there was the printer delay, so I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I will be at the Toronto Comics Arts Festival in April, and I will be
Ooh.
there. I will have the books on hand. And if you're from Toronto or if you're visiting, visiting for the festival, I will be there and I will sign anything. I will sign all the books. I will have books with me. And yeah, I'm also planning to go later this year to FlameCon in New York. So if you're in New York, and you want to wait till August, I will be there and I will sign some books.
There you go. Hit those cons, folks. It's fire. Have you done any cons this year as yet, or will those be amongst your first?
I have not done cons yet. I think TCAF will be my first con, and then I might do another, like a smaller local con. It's called Forest City Comic Con. I applied to it. It's in a little place called London, Ontario. Haven't heard back yet, but if I get in, then I will be there. And then I'm doing FlameCon, and then we will see from there.
Oh, there we go. There you go. Keep him busy as you should, as an amazing creator over here. So, talk to me. What type of advice would you give somebody stepping into the games? I know you came in early, but you've been killing it and smashing it since you stepped into the game. So, what type of advice would you give somebody also trying to come in now?
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna. It looks like you're gonna be able to meet Brett, one of our viewers over there. He said he's gonna be at FlameCon.
Ooh, yeah. Brett did some stickers for my Kickstarter campaign for And We Love You. Brett is such a talented designer, graphic designer, and merch maker. So if anybody needs like stickers done, definitely hire Brett.
Yo, Brett, shout out. Drop if you could drop your website right there, I'll pop it up on the screen for you. Shout out, thank you for viewing. All right, okay. Yeah, see, that's how you spread love. I dig it. That's why I love the indie. All right, so get back to that advice. What would you tell somebody trying to step in?
Ooh, that's a big question. Let's see. I think, my biggest motif when it comes to creating anything is to always work on what you love. I think it's very easy to get distracted by like what's popular, what's in, what you think other people will love. But I think it's important to make what you yourself love. Otherwise, you're going to burn out really fast if you're not enjoying what you're doing. And, if you like what you're doing, you have to find joy in the process of doing it and not just in the results, because I think it's really dicey, or you can get really dicey in this industry where sometimes the results aren't what you think they're going to be, but you should still be proud of just making something in general if you love what you make.
I could really tell that you love what you were doing with the project, because the joy shows in your craft and your skill. So, as a fan to critics, want to say thank you for being brave and bold enough to share your journey with us, and put your craft out there for us to see and enjoy. So thank you very much, and I see nothing but
Thank
great
you.
things for you on this. All right. So one more thing, it's manifest time. Manifest.
Yes.
If this could be anything other than a comic book, well, that's not the plan. I know most creators say this. My only plan is I understand. I'm just asking if it could be anything else by chance. Anything else? What would you want this to be?
Oh man, I mean, I want it to be everything. I love video games, so yeah, I'd be down for video games. I love collecting like action figures. If they ever made action figures of my characters, I would be over the
video
moon.
games popped off first. So how did you picture this video game to be if you had that opportunity to get involved in the design?
I mean, I'm not very much like I think if we made a video game of like not just this book but like the Raoverse, you definitely play as like Cammondor Rao, and it would be like very like Bayonetta, God of War, where it's like a third person RPG and you just go around hacking and slashing.
Yeah, give me blood with the famous Fell Hound blood. I mean, that's gonna be your trademark. No one does blood like Fell Hound, right? No one.
That's a glowing compliment. I'm gonna put that on my website.
Yeah, right. They say Omega, no one does blood like Fell Hound. I love you. Have great energy. I'm digging it. Hopefully you'll come to a con closer. I mean, yeah, I know that's the FlameCon is like it's upstate, right? Not New York City, right?
That's a great question. I need to look up where it is, but it is in New York somewhere.
All right, I'm a Brooklyn native. Right now I'm in Massachusetts. Yeah, but if you ever do like a Rhode Island Comic Con, which probably is close to Canada, as you could get. Yep. There we go. Brother agrees. No one does it like Fell. All right, there we go. So again, folks, I've been showing this off nonstop. You got to again show the love to amazing independent comic creators that feel extremely talented creators. Follow the website fellhoundart.com. comiccrusaders.shop.com. And right there, you can make purchases, correct? Can we get commissions from you too? Or what?
So not commissions right now. I have some prints
Okay.
and some of my self-published books up there. There's like a little art book, a little zine, my self-published copies of Cammondor Rao. If you do buy it, leave a note and I will be happy to sign anything. But yeah.
There you go. And then follow on social to stay up to date on the project, on the books, on what's next in the Raoverse. At Twitter, again, Fell Hound _ and Instagram is Fell.Hound. Yo, check out for real. Got the links below. Click away. A big shout out also to Scout Comics. Make sure to support and visit scoutcomics.com. An amazing independent comic book publisher that, again, the book is coming from there and it has such other amazing titles, that you would definitely enjoy. Great options, other than the big two, you know what I mean?
Yes. Buy the indies.
Yeah, support and buy the indies for real. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Thank you again for your time. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Ya tú sabes. ¡Uepa! Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.